Right now, you're operating from one of 5 distinct stages of spiritual awakening. Here's what nobody tells you. Each stage directly determines your manifestation power, your ability to consciously create reality, and why the law of attraction works inconsistently for most people. Your current awakening stage is the missing piece explaining why some days you can manifest effortlessly, while other days nothing works. Why your vibration feels unstable. Why techniques that work for others fail for you. When you identify your exact stage, everything changes. You stop fighting invisible resistance and start flowing with the creative intelligence orchestrating your evolution. But here's the twist that will shock you. The stage most people think gives them the most power actually keeps them creating the same patterns repeatedly. And the stage everyone fears most? That's where your energy field gets completely rewired for effortless creation. These 5 stages aren't just spiritual categories, they represent precise levels of coherence where ancient wisdom traditions meet modern consciousness research. Sufi masters called them stations of the heart. Buddhist practitioners recognize them as enlightenment phases. Field theorists describe them as transitions in your personal reality creation matrix. Each stage operates on a different frequency, and understanding exactly where you are gives you GPS for accelerating your conscious creation abilities. By the time we finish this exploration, you'll know which stage you're experiencing and understand the specific practices that will elevate your power to the next level. This isn't just information about spiritual growth. This is a roadmap for becoming the conscious reality creator you were born to be, where your inner awakening directly translates to outer mastery. Spiritual awakening isn't a single enlightenment moment where you suddenly gain unlimited power. It's a systematic upgrade happening in predictable patterns, where each stage unlocks new levels of reality creation ability. Here's what most teachers won't tell you. This process can be dramatically accelerated when you understand the hidden mechanics each stage requires. The first stage begins not with instant abilities, but with something that might actually disturb your current reality. You're living according to society's blueprint, following prescribed paths of education, career, relationships, and material success. From the outside, everything looks perfectly normal. You might even be winning by conventional standards. Then something shifts in your field. It starts as a whisper growing into a question that refuses to be silenced. You begin experiencing profound restlessness that doesn't match your external circumstances. You look around thinking, there has to be more than this. But this isn't just psychological dissatisfaction. Your consciousness is literally beginning to vibrate at a frequency that no longer matches your current reality. This divine disruption shows up in ways directly affecting your creation abilities. Some people suddenly find they're attracting unexpected experiences they never consciously chose. Others become hypersensitive to the energy of their thoughts and emotions. Many discover their usual techniques stop working like they used to. Your sensitivity is coming online for the first time. During this stage, you start noticing what most people dismiss as coincidences, but your awakening awareness recognizes synchronicity patterns at work. You think of someone, and they call. You need guidance, and the perfect book appears. You silently ask for a sign and receive clear answers through unexpected channels. Your consciousness is learning to recognize the field of infinite possibilities that's always been responding to your vibrational output. Most people make their first crucial mistake here. They try to silence this disruption through harder work, more entertainment, increased consumption, anything to avoid the uncomfortable questions arising within. They're attempting to return to old creation patterns that no longer match their expanding awareness. This disruption isn't something going wrong with your abilities. It's something going profoundly right. It's your field beginning to upgrade itself for much more powerful conscious creation. The key to moving through this stage successfully is radical acceptance of the questions arising within you, even when you don't have immediate answers. Once you accept the invitation of this initial awakening, something beautiful and chaotic unfolds in your creation journey. You become hungry for every technique, every consciousness practice, every teaching that might help you understand and harness what's happening to your reality creation abilities. Your internet browsing history becomes a map of exploration. Your bookshelf transforms into a creation library. You start following teachers, joining law of attraction groups, attending consciousness workshops, downloading meditation apps, consuming content about everything from ancient mysticism to modern physics. You've discovered you've been creating unconsciously, and you want to master conscious creation. This sacred seeking brings tremendous excitement and tremendous confusion. Every teacher presents a different method. Every approach offers its own technique. Every tradition speaks about reality creation in ways seeming to contradict all others. Monday finds you practicing visualization. Tuesday, you're exploring energy alignment. Wednesday brings jumping techniques, and the weekend finds you at a workshop. But nobody warns you about this. You start accumulating spiritual and creation identity markers. Crystals, journals, courses, certifications, and experiences become part of how you see yourself as a conscious creator. The seeking becomes its own identity, and you might find yourself spending significant money on anything promising to accelerate your abilities. You also begin feeling different from people around you, and not always in a good way. There's a subtle sense of being special because you're learning conscious creation while others remain unconscious. You might judge friends and family who don't understand vibrational reality, feel frustrated with conversations about mundane topics, or unconsciously develop what I call superiority syndrome, the trap catching almost everyone. You become addicted to learning new techniques instead of mastering fundamentals. You become a conscious creation tourist, always trying new methods but never going deep enough with any single approach to create lasting transformation. You mistake consuming content for actually developing mastery. All this seeking is actually preparing your field for something that will seem like complete failure. You begin realizing that all the techniques in the world aren't giving you the consistent results you're looking for. That realization marks the beginning of the most challenging stage of conscious creation evolution. Most people would rather stay stuck in technique hopping forever than face what's coming next. Just when you think you're finally mastering creation, just when you feel like you're accumulating knowledge and spiritual experiences, something devastating happens to your reality creation abilities. Everything stops working. Not necessarily your external life, though sometimes that collapses too. What stops working is every technique you've learned, every spiritual practice you've relied on, every method you thought was helping you create your reality. This necessary dissolution terrifies aspiring conscious creators more than any other stage, which is why many students spend years trying to avoid it, circle around it, or think their way through it. But here's the paradox that will revolutionize your understanding. This dissolution isn't your abilities failing. It's your field being completely rewired for effortless creation. The dissolution begins when your practices stop producing results. Visualization feels empty and powerless. The affirmations that once shifted your energy now seem meaningless. The teachers you followed appear to be speaking about a reality you can no longer access. You start questioning not just your techniques, but whether conscious creation is even real. You may experience what mystics call the dark night of the creator, but it's more accurate to describe it as the dissolution of your creation ego. What's dying isn't your true creative power. It's your false identity as someone who needs techniques and methods to create reality. It's your collection of concepts about how things are supposed to work. This stage can bring profound discouragement without any apparent external cause. You might feel like you're losing your abilities, losing your connection to the field, losing your way as a conscious creator. Everything you built during the seeking stage feels like it's crumbling into chaos. The creator identity you constructed feels like a costume you can no longer wear. Physically, this dissolution can be exhausting as your nervous system processes the death of old reality creation patterns. You might experience changes in sleep, appetite, and energy levels. Your field is literally being rewired at a cellular level, and the process feels like your power is disappearing completely. From a scientific perspective, your consciousness is moving through what researchers call a phase transition. Your old programming must completely dissolve before new creation abilities can emerge from the field of infinite possibilities. The profound paradox making this stage so confusing, the dissolution feels like failure, but it's actually the greatest success. It means you've exhausted your ego's capacity to control and manipulate the creation process. You've reached the point where surrender to the field is no longer optional. Many people get stuck in this dissolution for years because they're fighting the process instead of surrendering to the rewiring. They're trying to solve with their mind what can only be resolved through complete trust in the creative intelligence orchestrating their transformation. But there's no going back to old patterns once this process begins. The only way out is through complete surrender to your field upgrade. People who try to escape this stage by returning to familiar techniques end up cycling back to it again and again until they finally let go. The key to moving through this dissolution is conscious surrender to the field. Not passive resignation, but active cooperation with a creative intelligence beyond your personal control. It's learning to say, I don't understand what's happening to my abilities, but I trust that this dissolution is upgrading my creation power. This is where you discover true faith. Not faith in techniques or methods, but faith in the intelligence orchestrating your transformation into an effortless creator. What emerges from this void will revolutionize your entire understanding of conscious creation. After what feels like the longest drought of your life, something extraordinary begins emerging from the emptiness. Like dawn breaking after the darkest night, creation abilities start crystallizing. But this isn't the effortful approach of learning techniques. This is the organic creation power of alignment itself. You're not learning new methods. You're remembering your true nature as pure creative consciousness. This authentic emergence of mastery is unlike anything you experienced during the technique learning stage. Those were sporadic successes, temporary alignments, peak experiences that came and went. This is a stable shift in your fundamental frequency. You've stepped out of the house of limited creation and can see the infinite field of possibilities for the first time. The first thing you notice is unshakable inner knowing about your creative power that doesn't depend on external validation. Not the knowing of studying concepts, but the knowing of alignment itself. You might be dealing with challenging circumstances, but there's a center in you that remains connected to creative source regardless of appearances. You develop vision for creation, the ability to see multiple probability timelines simultaneously. You can engage fully with current reality while simultaneously sensing the infinite possibilities available for conscious selection. You're no longer choosing between accepting what is and creating what you desire because you understand they're the same process. Your relationship with thoughts fundamentally transforms. Instead of being effortful about positive thinking, you become aware of the space in which all thoughts arise and dissolve. You realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the creative consciousness that chooses which thoughts to energize. This creates natural flow that isn't forced but effortless. Aligned action becomes spontaneous rather than planned. When you see opportunities that match your desires, you don't hesitate or second guess. You feel profound trust in your guidance system because you remember what it was like to be disconnected from creative flow. That memory generates natural appreciation for your abilities. The technique seeking that characterized earlier stages naturally comes to an end. Not because you found the perfect method, but because you've realized you are the method. The search for external creation tools ends not in finding better techniques, but in recognizing yourself as pure creative potential. Many people mistake temporary successes or lucky streaks for this authentic emergence of mastery. The difference is stability and integration. Sporadic results come and go. This emergence is a permanent shift in your baseline creation frequency that remains stable regardless of external circumstances. But another potential trap exists catching many awakened creators. Some reach this stable flow and stop evolving. They become comfortable creating for personal desires and forget that conscious creation has a purpose beyond individual fulfillment. They settle into retirement instead of stepping into service. This emergence isn't the end of your creation evolution. It's actually the beginning of authentic living, where you finally have real power to offer the world. Not more techniques or concepts, but the living demonstration of effortless creation. That demonstration is about to become a gift to everyone around you. The ultimate purpose of mastery was never just personal abundance. It was always about planetary transformation, where your alignment becomes a field that influences collective reality. This final stage is where your abilities become a living gift to the world's conscious evolution. In this stage of embodied service, you understand that your mastery was never really for personal gain alone. It developed through you for you, but serves something infinitely larger than individual desires. You recognize yourself as a conscious instrument of the creative intelligence that seeks to manifest higher possibilities through human awareness. This embodied expression of creation is characterized by effortless work that serves collective good. You're not trying to create for ego desires or prove your abilities. Instead, your very presence becomes a field. Your aligned being creates ripples of possibility that influence everyone's potential. This doesn't necessarily mean you become a teacher or consciousness guru. You might be a conscious parent raising children who naturally understand their creative power. You might be a professional who brings creation consciousness into business. You might be a friend who demonstrates what aligned creation looks like in daily life. The key characteristic of this stage is complete integration of creation consciousness with ordinary living. You're no longer separating spiritual practices from practical creation. Your abilities aren't something you turn on during meditation. They're integrated into your moment-to-moment existence. You develop invisible mastery. You're powerfully creative without needing to announce it or prove it to anyone. Your alignment speaks through your results. People are naturally inspired by your abilities, without always understanding the consciousness behind them. Living in this stage requires holding paradox gracefully. You're simultaneously individual creator and universal creative force, personal and transpersonal service. You're fully engaged with conscious creation while being completely unattached to specific outcomes. You care deeply about creation while depending on nothing external for your connection to creative source. The practice of this stage is conscious living, where every moment becomes meditation. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to demonstrate alignment. Every challenge becomes a chance to show the stability of your creative connection. You're not trying to create. You're allowing creation to flow through you. This stage brings deep understanding that mastery isn't an individual achievement. It's a collective field where the more people who reach embodied creation consciousness, the more the entire planetary field shifts. You're not just creating for yourself, you're creating for species evolution. The ultimate realization of this stage is that separation between creator and created is illusion. When you truly embody this understanding, your personal creation becomes collective creation. Your individual mastery contributes to the awakening of creative consciousness in all beings. These stages aren't strictly linear. You might experience elements of multiple levels simultaneously. You might taste mastery in the middle of technique dissolution. You might touch embodied service and then find yourself back in seeking new methods. Conscious creation evolution isn't a straight line from unconscious to master creator. It's more like a spiral where you revisit creation themes at deeper levels of mastery. You cycle through patterns with increasing consciousness and skill. The goal isn't to graduate from one level and never return. It's to move through the spiral with increasing alignment and grace. You might have moved through some of these stages without recognizing them as creation evolution. Many people experience the necessary dissolution disguised as blocks, abundance struggles, or creation confusion. Many experience divine disruption during major life transitions when old reality stops working. The key is recognizing these experiences as upgrades rather than failures. Each stage has its own creation curriculum, its own lessons, its own medicine for your conscious evolution. If you're trying to skip ahead or go backward, you're missing the education that's available right where you are. Trust that your current creation level is exactly where you need to be for your next upgrade. Take a moment right now and feel into your current reality. Which of these 5 stages resonates most deeply with your present creation experience? Don't overthink this recognition. Let your intuition guide you. Which description created the strongest sense of familiarity with your current journey? This isn't about judging your current abilities or trying to be at a different creation level. It's about honest recognition of your current frequency so you can work with it consciously rather than unconsciously. When you know where you are in your evolution, you can navigate with wisdom instead of struggling blindly with creation techniques. Here's a practice that can serve you regardless of which stage you're currently experiencing. At the end of each day, ask yourself this question: what creation frequency did I predominantly operate from today? Not as self-judgment, but as conscious awareness. Were you primarily in flow or resistance, alignment or separation, creative trust or fear-based control? This daily frequency check develops creation literacy, the ability to recognize your creation state and consciously shift it when needed. Over time, this awareness becomes automatic, and you begin catching yourself earlier when you're dropping into lower frequencies that limit your power. To use this technique effectively, simply pause before sleep and honestly assess your predominant creation energy throughout the day. If you notice you operated from resistance or fear-based control, don't judge yourself. Simply acknowledge it and set an intention to choose alignment tomorrow. If you operated from creative flow and trust, appreciate this alignment and intend to maintain it. The key is consistent daily practice without perfectionism. You're training your awareness to become conscious of your creation state, which is the foundation for all effortless work and spiritual evolution through conscious reality creation. Comment below with one word that captures the energy you're choosing for your continued evolution through these creation stages. Just one authentic word that comes from the deepest place in you that knows what's needed for your next level of conscious creation mastery. Let this be your signature, your declaration of participation in your own transformation. Your individual awakening isn't happening in isolation. You're part of a larger wave of consciousness evolution that's transforming how reality gets created on our planet. Every person who moves consciously through these stages makes it easier for others to access their own creation mastery. You're not just creating for yourself. You're creating for everyone who comes after you in this great awakening of conscious creation.